Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terabith Leadership. Welcome to the program. Today, we're going to be talking about the Chinese political system. It's very rare you get to hear it. Why? Most of the sources you're getting about the China political system are probably incorrect. Let me just open it up by this and saying that the Chinese political system wasn't invented by China. And I've said many times that World War II is going to repeat, but not in the actual warfare. We realize that the warfare now is changing, but we're talking the political ideology. So there were three ideologies in World War II. We had communism. This would be under Stalin, and we allied with them against Germany, which was pretty interesting. I always find it interesting when the Russians say that they were our allies during World War II. Not really. I mean, the communists I would probably put at the bottom of the barrel. Then we had fascism. It's interesting to talk about, or national socialism, nationalism, fascism. This would be Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, the National Socialists, which are viewed upon as the most evil political ideology. And then we had our system. When all systems is, there's a time and a place. Ours would be liberal capitalist democracy. And at one time, I think America was the best country on earth. It's evolved where this country is working for the top 1%. Other than that, it's not really working much at all. It's going to get worse, collapse. There's a video later on that I show it, and that is you're starting to see the far left and the far right come together because it's not really about a far right and a left and a right politically ideology. It's really a class structure where the rich are becoming more and more concentrated in the very few percentages up top, and the rest of us, it's getting harder and harder to struggle. So those who say America's a great system, it's usually coming from those who make a lot of money. You know, we're Donald Trump, there's no doubt about it. If you're a billionaire, you're in the top 1%. But this system's not working. So before I go into the China, we'll do some news, but think about it this way. This is why you don't learn about a political system called National Socialism. That's China. China used to be communism. I think probably one of the best leaders that I would study would be Deng Xiaoping in the 1970s. He transitioned China from a communist country to what I would call fascism. The two countries that Deng Xiaoping modeled China to become would be Singapore and Japan. Japan's considered the Germany of Asia. Singapore was a British colony. So there's a lot of Western influence. So what do I mean by that? Now, China, and again, anyone who's been to China living there understands it's not communism. You could say it's state-run capitalism. But look at it this way. And this is a point why most people don't really understand National Socialism. Think if two Americans wanted to put together some type of social media platform, open up a company, whatever, and the two platforms were Adolf Hitler and pedophilia. One wanted to say pedophilia is a good thing. Let's promote pedophilia. I think it's good. The other one says he thinks Adolf Hitler, National Socialism, is a good idea. Which one do you think is has a higher percentage of being canceled? Probably say Adolf Hitler. So that's how we evolved or devolved in our society, where it's probably easier to talk about, have tolerance, and to advocate for pedophilia over this guy named Adolf Hitler, National Socialism. And if we're in a society like that, how on earth could you say you understand the political system of National Socialism? How? It's very difficult. Well, that's China. And we're going to see a quick video later on this, but that is China in a nutshell, meaning they view Adolf Hitler, National Socialism. They call their political ideology socialism with Chinese characteristics. It's National Socialism. Let's go through a couple news and then we'll go through it. And I thought this was easy and simple and pretty funny, pathetic in some ways. But look at America here when they say that Iran is about to learn why America doesn't have free health care. And you know something? It's funny. It's the truth. We spend our money on military. I mean, this is what we do. We like to go to war. Whether we have health care or not, whatever. It's pretty funny, but it's sad and it's interesting. All right, let's go to this one. Now, remember, look at this. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to make 3 points right here. First is hopefully you see Robert Mueller's dead. This is the president of the United States saying it's good that a former FBI director and a military veteran is dead. You don't find that shocking? Let me bring this up. This is kind of our system, Devon. You don't find that shocking? Remember I said you're going to see things you've never seen before? The president of the United States. Now, I'm not disagreeing with Donald Trump. I'm just saying the president of the United States says it's good that the FBI director's dead. This guy's a military veteran. Our country's going. Now, what do I mean by that? Remember I said when Luigi Mannioni smoked that CEO, that globalist CEO healthcare, and I said, I don't give a fuck. Those corporations don't care about you, and why should I care about them? And some people are like, wow, look at Donald Trump. I don't think he cares much about the director of the FBI, military veteran dying. See where this is coming? And what do I bring my point to? Same thing, Donald Trump, I don't care about the director of the FBI. I'm not arguing with him. What do you think Americans think about these corporations? Similar. And what did I say? Some people probably said I went overboard. Well, those who remember my case, this is the federal judge when I sued Boeing. This is the corrupt federal judge in Chicago who colluded with Boeing. It's not even that I lost my case. She wouldn't even allow me, after spending $50,000 of my own money. That's a lot of money. Let me make sure everyone can see her. She's a scumbag. $50,000 of my own money. She colluded with Boeing to not allow me to take my case to go to court. And she then awarded immediate victory to Boeing. Didn't even get my day in court. I'm a military veteran. And she complains all the time about white supremacy, the patriarchy. So what's my point? If this woman tomorrow got smoked along with her children, don't give a fuck, along with her entire family gets smoked, that was a good day. These people are evil. Now, I want to make that point known because I don't think people realize we're going to civil war in America. You just give it time. The only reason that's keeping us together is the money. That's all. We don't like each other. I mean, we don't like each other. We don't like this country. But as long as the money, our salaries come, we pay the bills, we'll do it. If not, we'll kill each other. But you think I'm weird when I said this is a federal judge? And again, she has more power, money, and influence than 99% of men in America. I mean, she lives a pretty privileged life. And oh, by the way, she makes all that money on your taxpayer dime. You think she would be pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Thankful? And yet she talks about how male privilege, racism, stuff like that. And what she did to me, I mean, anyone know my story? I don't have time to say it, but if you know my whole story with her, also her publishing her stuff on my medical disability from the military, everything like that. If that fucking whore of a front feminist got smoked today, along with her whole fucking family, don't give a fuck, her husband, her children, everything, guess what? Don't give a fuck. I'm gonna open up some champagne bottles. Is that weird? We just heard the president of the United States say this about the FBI director who's a Vietnam veteran, Marine. You don't think that's weird? When Luigi Mannioni smoked that CEO, and people, the people, the Fox News, also CNN are like, I don't understand why are people celebrating this guy? Why is this guy? Because think about it. Who is America? What are we? Faith, family, freedom, Christianity, European, and our freedoms. Where's this system going in the last 50 years? Christianity is going down. Our European family is going down. And our freedoms are going down. Is that trend going to change? Probably not. Is it China and Russia who's primarily to be responsible for that? Nope. Who is it? Our government. Look at what Donald Trump said. I mean, not J. Edgar Hoover, Director Mueller, he's part of the government, director of the FBI, and the corporations. Look at that federal judge. Collaborating, very corrupt, colluding with the Boeing. Same thing, government corporations. These people are fucking evil. I mean, we drop bombs on Iran because you say they're evil. I guess so. I don't know enough about Iran. I don't think Iran is my number one enemy. I'm not saying I want any of those people coming to America. I'm not into that. You know, I'm sure there's many Iranian Americans like, I'm an Iranian American. I love America. No, go back to Iran. I mean, that's what I feel. But I don't really look at Iran as our primary enemy. But our government and these corporations, they've destroyed my life. Oh, they're going to destroy yours. Give it time. But you have to remember, I keep saying, you're going to see things you have never seen before. That's not normal for a president of the United States to wish good that the FBI director, who's also a military veteran, is dead. And I'm sure this is about the Russian collusion, how they destroyed Trump's life, meaning I'm sure he's got a good point to it. I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying that's not normal, people. That's not normal. When I grew up, if a guy named Luigi Mannioni smoked a CEO, I think the majority of Americans would say, criminal, send him in jail. You got people cheering, to include me. Good job, Luigi Mannioni. I don't have any. Do these corporations care about us? No, don't care about them. Now that federal judge who has lived a luxurious life, this is a federal judge. She's a chief federal judge. She makes a lot of money, taxpayer money, by the way. What she did to me was illegal, immoral, and also unconstitutional. Unconstitutional. I was an ethical whistleblower who also was, believe it or not, I know I'm a white guy, I was discriminated against. Medical disability was a part in it. You could be discriminated for religion. I was also discriminated for a perceived medical disability. This was an injury I had in the military. And what did she do? She's an evil fuck. Not only didn't she not let my case to the court, she printed it out. So that way, if I tried to get other work, people would know that I was terminated from Boeing. Not illegally, because that's in the China case. And I said, can you at least put the China case in there? No. I mean, I go on. Anyone will talk about it. But anyway, I make the point. Donald Trump, Director Mueller, dead. Good. Luigi Mannioni smokes a corporate CEO. I think a lot of people, that federal judge, if she and whole her fucking family, I don't give a shit, smoked. Let's get the champagne out. This is not normal, people. This is not normal. This is a good time to get those loser baby boomers. Not like I'm Generation X. It's not like my generation is that special, but the baby boomers are probably probably the bottom of the barrel in terms of generations we had. Again, I'm not saying Generation X is that great. We're responsible for it. But I would be curious what Generation X people thinks when they grew up, when these things would have happened during their time. No way. Meaning this would not be condoned. It wouldn't be mainstream. The director of the FBI is dead, mourn. A CEO's been shot, mourn. A federal judge is smoked, mourn. This is not normal, people. So now we're going to take it now. We'll go. Well, I'll read some comments here, but let me just go to one more here. Yeah, this is interesting too. Let me do two more clips and then I'll share. 1 second. This is this is a good thing. So one of the things here is we have Dan Bongino. Now remember, what did I say? I got pretty good judgment. I mean, when you were ranked number 2 in leadership at West Point, you're pretty good. I won the leadership award at Harvard. I won the leadership award. I consider myself a smart guy. Dan Bongino's a piece of shit. If you remember, I called him out. This was even before he became deputy director. He's a piece of shit. But anyway, what's interesting, he's talking about General Flynn. Now, General Flynn's son knows about me. General Flynn, by the way, follows me on X. Don't know if he's doing anything for me. Thanks, General. Thanks for your support. But anyway, it is what it is. But what you're starting to see is they're talking about General Flynn a little bit. We're not even going to do this whole clip because I think Dan Bongino, truth be told, because MAGA is splitting. His days are numbered. MAGA's numbered. I'm telling you, you're going to start seeing this system exponentially accelerate. It's all about the economy. But let's just watch this a little bit.
Calling people, you get the point. Said it enough. Screaming like lunatics in the lobby, crying like little girls afterwards when they got tossed out. Here's a tweet by Joe Kent supporting Igor. Back is Igor's buddy. Elon Musk, can you please reinstate Igor so you can continue to provide constitutional and legal analysis? Really? Showing up at a MAGA event with his boys, one of them screaming, calling people faggots? That your boy, Joe? It's kind of weird how I called you out for lying. You're a liar. You are. And all of a sudden, I could prove you're a liar. I was there. I looked you in the face. You're a liar. And all of a sudden.
And again, like I said, our military veterans are splitting up. It's not like Dan Bongino's a military veteran, but Joe Kent, military, no one cares. I get it, even me. It just shows again, America is going down. The whole status of being a military veteran, I don't know, give it a couple more years. It's not going to mean anything. And I agree. I'm not arguing with that at all.
Weird. Igor shows up in his sombrero with Ogre and Little Guy. And Little Guy seemed awfully agitated. Think he had a little IBS. Maybe he ate a little something. Who knows? A sombrero. Maybe he had some Mexican that didn't agree with him.
Let's just go faster. He's boring me.
A dog would want a face like that. My dog Lucy's a little cuter. However, Igor.
Yeah, actually, I'm done with him. Let's just go to this next one. I mean, don't. But here's the point, and this is what I want to do is I want to focus this. I want you to focus on there's going to be another video that I'm going to play after this, and this is a video. It's short. It's whatever. It's one of these. What the hell they're called? They're short clips. I may actually save this clip and play it later, down the line as a leadership point, because it really shows that the right and the left are off. Again, I wouldn't. Part of the reason I've been censored, I would never be considered to be pro-Republican. I'm not even MAGA. I mean, I'm farther right than MAGA. But the point is, the next clip, and the reason why this picture is good, it relates to it. But let's just take a look at this picture right here really quick. Where am I looking at here? All right, let me just bring it down. Let's just take a quick look at that and read what it says. The fastest growing homeless demographic, senior citizens, adults over 50, are the fastest growing group experiencing homelessness. In California, they represent 40% of those needing shelters. Of course, we're going to assume they're American citizens. Obviously, if they're not an American citizen, that changes the whole story. But we're going to assume a lot of them are American citizens, regardless if they're military veterans or not. They're American citizens. So what do I mean by that? Look at this. Well, a couple things. Like this war in Iran, all the billions, it's going to be trillions of dollars spent on this stuff, really. Meaning we are falling apart at home. No one gives a fuck about Iran. I could care less about Iran, care less about Iraq, Taiwan, Ukraine. Think about these homeless, not military, homeless American citizens. And we are spending just gobbles and gobbles of money overseas. Not good. Anyone knows it. So we're going to get into, I see Spartan Sector. Yeah, Luigi Menino is here. I can tell you something. Do you really think, think about it. We have homelessness in America, and these dumb MAGA people too. They're like, I can't wait for the Iranians to be free. Like some stupid two military veterans. They're still like, man, we need to go back to Afghanistan. Women are still not allowed to go to school. What are you, a faggot? What really, are you a faggot? What do I think about Afghanistan women not being able to go to school? I sleep fine at night. I sleep fine at night. Iran. Don't get me wrong. The thought of Iran building a nuclear weapon, I got it. And I get it why Israel is concerned. Well, that's their war and they're going to have to figure that out. But as an American, I don't know. North Korea has a nuclear weapon. China does. Russia, I guess we're going to have to go to war with all them. I don't know what our logic is. But generally speaking, I think most Americans, we got bigger problems at home. Food, clothing, shelter. I think a lot of us do want to have children. Children is also a monetary issue. So yeah, no, I really could care less. So about the homeless, I want to play this clip here. Spartan Sector, yeah. I'm also reading about the judge. Yeah, I would say, I'm not saying I'm pro-Islam. I've always said it's Christianity first. But I'll tell you, I love how Islam handles feminism. I think there's a lot that white men can learn from Islam on how they treat women. Because I can tell you something. I think allowing white women the privilege to vote was probably an enormous nail in our coffin, ending it. So, but like I said, let's watch this clip. Now, this clip is fast. And what I want you to do is, we're going to get into National Socialism. Because what did I just say? It's probably, if you say Adolf Hitler, the Holocaust, World War II, Nazis, I would not be surprised if that is the most censored topic in the West, not just America, in the West. Well, because it's so censored, then how do you know? In China? No, that's not censored at all. No, not at all. In fact, I've had some interesting conversations with these people. The Chinese people happen to find Adolf Hitler a pretty capable leader. I mean, they look at Adolf Hitler as the ideal leader. So because I'm in China, this was really the first experience I've ever had to kind of look at that. People always say, but China's communism. Again, I've said many times, I'm not a fan of communism. Look at World War II. I would put the most evil regime as Stalin, the Soviet Union. So no, I mean, Mao Zedong, it's a very delicate topic. We'll go into it, but I put Deng Xiaoping as what I consider to be the awesome leader. That was the shift from communism to fascism. But even in our mind, you say fascism, that also sounds evil. How do you know? Let's watch this clip, and I'm going to show you this clip. These are two Americans. One's on the left, one's on the right. And you know what I think? They're both scumbags. These guys are both scumbags. I'm going to explain. But then it's like, wait a minute, if the right's not good, the left is not good, where do we go? It's sort of like World War II. You had these people on the right. You know, we could be American. It's all capitalism, man. Let's make money. This is the video. Then you got people on the left. These people are communists. That doesn't work. Where was Adolf Hitler? Maybe in the middle. And I can tell you, if you go back in history 200 years or more, that was actually the typical ideology, fascism, nationalism. Let's watch this clip. You're going to see what I say. But both of these people, this is America. I am so glad I don't pay any of my taxes and I'm not in the military. I can't imagine dying for either one of these people. Watch this clip. I'm going to save this clip probably, and I'm going to play it again in the future. It's pretty interesting.
For like if you have to call in for your taxes.
Do you think this country would be fine if we were to fire 50% of the laziest government employees?
Probably not.
Yes. So I'm giving yes. There are a ton of shitbags in the government. The only thing that I could attempt if I was the FBI director, because there's no fixing it, is I've said I would reduce, defund the FBI by at least 50% to include our military. So I'm trying to be referee and get you on here. So the first part is, do you think we should defund the government? Yes, a lot of them are shitbags. Okay, so that means I agree with the guy on the right. Now keep going. Or what I'm trying to tell you, it's going to go like that. Let's keep going.
Why? What would
Half the government workforce seems like
Yes.
a lot of things would probably start to fail or not work anymore.
Nah, not really. They'll do better. There'll be some hiccups, but you want to know what? Strong white men will learn resilience. We'll figure this out. But the government, just like the FBI, has turned into doing more harm than good. So I still believe defunding is the way to go.
like what?
I mean, I imagine that like wait times for like if you have to call in for your taxes would go up. Probably applying for like
Well, I'm not a big fan. I still believe you have to pay taxes. I don't have a problem with tax. I have a problem with what our taxes being paid for. But anyway, that's sort of a different story. But I don't mind paying taxes. The key is, what are we paying for? And I'll explain later.
Medicare. There'd probably be a lot more waste, fraud, and abuse, and a lot of.
Why do we even have Medicare?
Okay. Why do we have any Medicare? So if you're on the right, it's starting to sound logical, right? Why do we have Medicare? All right, let's see where this guy's going. I mean, look at this guy. He looks like a very preppy Republican. I don't know. Maybe he's got some rich parents. Who knows? Let's see where he's going.
Why do we have Medicare? So that old people have some base level medical assistance?
Shouldn't the old people be able to just get healthcare on their own paradigm, on their own?
All right, I'm going to stop you. Spartan Saudiker says, I do not agree with Hitler attacking Poland. I've got a lot of Polish friends. You know what they believe? They believe that Britain and America betrayed Poland. Because if we went into war because Hitler attacked Poland, and then the result was we gave Poland to the Soviet Union, talk to the Polish people. They all preferred to be under Nazi Germany. And probably Poland would be. In fact, no, I want to do, nah, let's do it now before I forget. We're going to go back to that clip. It's a good clip. We'll get to the China thing. We'll see the time. But I want people to think this. Because people say communism doesn't work. Well, it doesn't. I'm not a fan. I'm talking about fascism. Fascism doesn't work, this and that. I want you to use your best educational guess. It's a guess. It's purely a guess. But I want you to use an educational guess. that if Adolf Hitler would have won, where do you think Nazi Germany would be now and the world? For the same reason that we say, how is China? Because China is developing not through immigration and not through diversity. How are they getting so stronger, so much more developed? Ding, 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 fascism. So I want you to ask yourself, if Adolf Hitler would have won the war, what do you think? I would not be surprised if, one, we have, I would say, like military Spartan colonies on the moon. Now, so I'm not saying like civilians were living on the moon like it's a normal way of life, but I would not be surprised that we have like military Spartan colonies. I guess like the movie Aliens, like we have people living on the moon, but it's very Spartan. They're only there for like 6 months, coming back 6 months. But we have colonies on the moon in a very military Spartan format. Mars, I don't know. Maybe we have a lot more satellite observing, exploratory pods that went there, meaning advanced. What I'm trying to say is, I have a feeling that if Nazi Germany would have won, they would have been hell more advanced than we are in America. Now, it's a guess. I don't know. But I have seen through my own eyes on China. China is moving. And they're not moving that way because of communism. Even the Chinese will tell you, communism under Mao Zedong was not good. They're just not allowed to say it. Deng Xiaoping, he opened it up. But under China, they realize they look at their political system as superior. It's not like a China system. It's called fascism. It's called National Socialism. But I want you to ask yourself that, because we say our political system's the best. What if Adolf Hitler would have won? Where do you see? Well, one, I probably would say there would be no white genocide. That's number one. I don't say there would be any problems with the white race, and we're getting invaded and population dwindling with white people. Probably not. But I just want you to think that, and I know it's fantasy, but I want you to use an educated guess. If this thing called National Socialism, fascism is so evil, it's not good, and we, liberal, capitalist democracy, is the best system, what if Adolf Hitler would have won? What do you think? Which system? Don't know. I have a guess. I don't know, though. But we are seeing it in China, though. China is using a system, and they're moving. They're moving fast. What about our system? Well, it's going down. But I just want you to, and we're going to go back to this clip, and I'm going to show you the difference, but I just want you to ask yourself that. If the Nazis would have won, well, we probably would have been speaking German now. We're not speaking English. We probably would be speaking German now. But how advanced would that society be? Think about that. Okay, so now let's go here back to this clip. This is an important clip. I'll probably save this clip.
Dollar?
What if they don't have money for it?
Well, then that's their fault. I mean,
I want to click. So I want to remind. He said to fund Medicare, and the person's like, yeah, but what if they're sick? And he's like, well, then just pay for it. But what if they don't have money? And the rich Republicans like, well, fuck them. Let's keep going.
You live in a world that if you work hard, you'll get a very successful life. If you
Oh, yeah, work hard. Now, that's what I grew up thinking. This justice system is corrupt. The systems do not work. I think there was a time in America, it was like that, where the systems, you believed in the systems, the corruption wasn't so corrupt, and those who worked hard, those were smart. I don't believe it anymore. Not the fucking stuff that I've seen. But here's the typical, because these are usually people from high places that already have their money, and they tell other people, the reason that you're not rich is you just don't work hard. I don't believe that. I believe because look at this piece of shit, Elon Musk, who's controlling our free speech, who suspended me 3 times. Meaning some people make their living now doing podcasting stuff, you get suspended. Meaning I believe now that the podcasters that, especially the political podcasters, these are all basically backed influencers. And if you're not backed, I'm not backed, obviously, you're done. But no, I don't believe in this system anymore of, well, you work hard, you get results. And if you don't, no, this system's corrupt. But this little Republican kid is thinking, if you don't have money, it's just because you don't work hard. Okay, let's keep going.
don't work very hard, you'll get a very crappy life, and you might die at the age of 64 due to prostate cancer because you can't afford chemotherapy.
I feel like there's enough money to be made in this country by people that are incredibly successful that it takes very little from them to make sure that like everybody else is doing pretty good. I think that it's probably important that the people that make the most money in this country are able to pay a little bit more to help other people who don't have access to the same types of talents. To
why should we babysit these people who can't afford that?
Because they're the people that allow the other people to function.
So basically, and the reason why I want to emphasize, I might play this clip again, is so the guy on the left, the problem with, let me bring this up. The problem with the guy on the left is this sort of communism, let's help out everyone. No, let's help out American citizens. And two, we have to be very cautious on who can become an American citizen. Birthright citizenship needs to go, gone. Immigration, not a big fan of it. So you can't burn the candle at both ends. So one is, I'm not going to be the guy on the left says, yeah, but we all have to help out each other. Ho, ho, ho. Who the fuck is we? Who is we? We, man, we. I live in Asia and I see these little gooks with their American passport. These are called anchor babies. They say, oh, you American. I'm American too. We both Americans. No, you fucking gook. I don't give a shit what your passport is. You're not an American, even though what the fuck's American anymore. So the point is, we can't go with the liberal route that says communism like, we, man, come on. Yeah, we, everyone. No, not going to do it. That I'm not going to pay my taxes for. This is kind of about fascism. Fascism is about your people. You have to define who we are and who we're not. The best guess I could say is pro-Christian, pro-European, pro-freedom. You figure it out. But you have a group. Fascism means the fasci, to hold in place. That's your people. So the one is the communist. I'm not going to say that guy. Everyone. No, we have a people. But then we go to that faggot Republican that's like, man, you don't have the money, you fucking die. No, asshole. I'm not living in a society where I walk my kid down the street and he's like, Dad, is that bum down there? You think he's going to make it? Nah, he'll be dead in a couple days. Dad, should we help him? Nah, he just didn't work hard. He just didn't work hard, son. And that means he's going to bite the dust. I wonder if this little faggot kid ever served in the military. I'm not doing that. And so fascism is, it is the blood of your people. We can't say that in America because I don't know who our people is anymore. So I'm not going to the left that says, we, man, we, come on, man, we. No, that's communism. Not doing that. But I'm not going to do this right, these faggot Republican, and I'm telling you, these people are greedy bastards, money. That's why this system works good if you're on that 1%, because once you get there, you'll manipulate the system, change the rules to keep money in place. And all these, I work for Amazon. Guess what Amazon likes to do? If we're going to have capitalism, we have to have fair competition. What do these big fucking corporations do? They destroy all the mom and pop small business entrepreneurs and they hoard the money up top. This is not capitalism anymore, people. This is not a system I want to live with, where the top 1%. If you don't have money, you also don't have freedom. So to see this little punk's like, yeah, man, you know, to think of a military veteran who served, that little faggot Republican kid, went to war, and he's like, man, if you don't have money, it just means you're lazy and you're just going to have to die. Really? How about I take a gun and just blow your fucking brains out too, kid? Because I don't give a shit about the rules. It's too far. So a lot of people are like, well, where's the balance? The problem is if you say National Socialism, if you say fascism, people are like, bang, 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 Adolf Hitler evil. So think about it. Where do you learn about National Socialism? You can't learn it in the West. You think you're going to learn it in Europe? Oh, yeah, go to Germany. You'll get sent to jail. So I want that to set in. You can't learn this stuff. We are living in a society where it's easier to sell pedophilia than sell National Socialism. Part of the reason I've been censored, I have no doubt about it. Why? Because the American government, the FBI said that they look upon me as a national security threat. I'm fine. I just want to be left alone. But the point is I'm telling you, you start pushing up against this system politically, you are going to get your pee-pee smacked. Where another person could sell pedophilia, I bet he has a better chance of selling pedophilia than selling Adolf Hitler. It's something's weird, you know that. So when I'm telling you about the Chinese system, it's not the Chinese system. It's not cheeky, cheeky, cookie, cookie. It's not egg rolls and fried rice. Think about it. Where did they learn a lot of that stuff? From Japan. Japan mimicked a lot from Germany. Singapore. Well, Singapore is a British colony. This was an ideology. You can sell communism in America better than you could sell fascism. There's no doubt. Look at the Hollywood. Adolf Hitler or Stalin? Which is more evil? Take a guess. What is portrayed more evil in the West? Adolf Hitler or Stalin? And if you're an American and you would choose to live in the Soviet Union under Stalin, communism, versus Adolf Hitler, you're a moron. You're a moron. Any American with common sense would be like, I'll take Germany fascism for 200, Alex Trebek. No, I'll take Stalin under communism, Alex Trebek. Well, that's why you're a moron and you're going to the gulag. Anyone with common sense. But why is that? Now we're going to get into it. Let's go with, so Spartan says, socialized healthcare should compete against private. The way I look at it is this with healthcare. There's many levels. You could have private, you could have public, and I get it. But at the end of the day, I don't mind paying my tax on, I don't want to live in a society where our own citizens, not foreign nationals, and two, I don't want to live in a society where it's easy to become a citizen. It should be hard. It should be very difficult to become an American citizen. That's why I'm saying birthright citizenship needs to be revoked or canceled, amended, abolished, whatever you want to say. But I don't want to live in a society, and I'm willing to pay my taxes, that if an American citizen says, I have cancer, I need medical help, sorry, tough shit. I don't want to live in that society. I mean, I left America. I don't want to be part of that, and I already left. But I'm saying if I had my withers, I don't mind paying taxes to give the basic necessities for every American citizen. This is who we are. This is why I'm different than a lot of the shitbag military veterans. A lot of these military guys have to do paycheck pension, paycheck pension, paycheck pension. Think about the people while we talk about World War II. I'm not saying I'm against Adolf Hitler, but the people in World War II, doesn't matter, they volunteered. You think they were on the beaches of Normandy thinking, man, we're going to get a bonus, man, we're going to do this one? No, they probably said, we're going to be dead. These Nazis are going to shred us apart. Why are we doing duty, honor? There comes a time you have to have in a society some type of service. I joined the military, duty, honor, country. When I got in, I realized this is bullshit, and I left. It's very similar with the FBI. Went in there thinking these people are going to be some top-notch national security spies and agents. Oh, my God. Thank you. Goodbye. But there has to be something in society where we say money takes secondary. And what's number one? Something called patriotism. And I'm telling you, I don't want taxpayer money giving our American citizens a luxurious life, but basic necessities should be had. Something like basic medical care, all Americans should get it. Now, it's not going to fix, because we're past that now. And I want to get to the China videos. We're past. The only thing that's going to fix America now is going to be guns and ammo. It's guns and ammo. It's just, I'm going to do more videos too there. There's nothing that's going to legally or voting that's going to fix this system. Like even Donald Trump, the FBI's corrupt. I guess the FBI's fixed now. None of this is getting fixed without guns and ammo. Give it time. But when and if, and hopefully it gets fixed, where's the system? Because you're seeing the Western global order get demolished. And what order is coming into place? The non-Western world. News for you, the non-Western world is fascism. It's fascism. I know it's evil. You're an American. Like, oh, I can't do this. I would rather take communism. I know. Cucks in America. I know. That's the future. I don't mind. And it's coming that way. And I just don't think America's going to survive. I think it's going to collapse. And then you're going to see what I've always said. You have two choices in America. You will embrace nationalism or you will die. But 350 million diverse Americans, not going to happen. The kettle is going to break. So it's not going to happen because nationalism is based on unity, not diversity. We are so diverse in America, we've passed the Rubicon. That's why I keep saying there's no fixing it now. You're seeing more and more Americans like me saying it can't be fixed. So the only thing I can do is I'm out of here. There's no fixing it. I'm telling you, give it time. Donald Trump, no one's going to fix this. Let's go more to the videos. Let me look at some comments. Socialized healthcare should be, none of those white guys would attack Germany. Them. All I'm saying is, remember I talked about Germany? If Germany was still in power, what would it be, society? Maybe that's a little too confusing for people, too sci-fi, too fantasy, too much of an educated guess. Ask yourself this. What if our World War II veterans were alive today? What were they? What do you think? You think they'd be happy with America? I don't think so. I don't think they would fight in World War II. I think a lot of them would be like, oh my God, this is what I fought for. Let's go. Let's do it quick. We got to do some videos.
Administration's talk about potentially using force to take Greenland was extremely consequential. I do think that this was a
I'm gonna do this video here. 1 second.
Of course, because of their scale. And so there's got to be a non-destructive way to do this.
You can put on.
Okay, so this is again about Tucker Carlson. Quick, these guys from Louder with Crowder are going to do the best they can to attack China. And I'd say spend to Louder and Crowder, spend less time attacking China and more time concerned with American military veterans, especially if you think China's evil and we have to destroy them. Well, you faggots aren't going to join the military. So maybe spend more time caring about military veterans so you can persuade American men to die for America in this upcoming war that you think we need to fight in China. But that's my first advice is care less about China and care more about America. That would be leadership 101 advice. Let's go.
All this to rest by explaining why you tend to always side on these regimes' side. Why do you always come down on that side? Why are you always talking about, but lately?
We're going to skip a layer. This is about Tucker Carlson, China. It just shows the West really doesn't get China. Like, who are these yo-yos?
Have not been focusing all that much. I could sometime fantastic if
and there's a reason for this.
But make no mistake.
Okay, so here's an influencer. I don't know who this is. She looks like a mixed race gook. They're the worst, by the way. The mixed race, absolutely worst. She looks like a mixed race gook, but a lot what she says, again, attack the messenger? No, focus on the message. Is the message right or wrong? Her message, she's pretty much, I don't know who she is, China, American, whatever, but what she says, but Louder with Crowder, like this girl, they probably have a lot of these white guys have fetishes for Asian girls. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy having sex with Asian girls, but nah, I mean, I had another video of white girls. I still, in terms of who is the most beautiful women around, nah, not even close. Take a white girl.
Mistake, we are in a different type of conflict with China.
Of course you're in a Chinese time of your life. You don't have a choice. Your country is collapsing. Does your Chineseness end at squatting in chopsticks, or are you ready to examine what you've been taught? The U.S. will inevitably move against China, and when it happens, they will make China the instigator. And there's a reason for this. First, China proves that there is an alternative to Western neoliberalism and hypercapitalism. Second, it proves that the system can not only rival the global hegemon, but surpass it. So the U.S. pours billions into anti-China propaganda and spends even more encircling China with military bases, and then telling you
the Chinese Communist Party is evil and it is oppressive.
Yes, the CCP is aggressive and expansionist. The CCP conducts mass surveillance. The CCP oppresses the marginalized and kills its own civilians, things that could never happen in the West. Never mind that China has lifted 800 million people out of poverty, that the majority of China's current power capacity comes from renewable energy, that China's medical system provides universal coverage, that it is among the safest countries in the world, and 90% of Chinese people own their own homes. Yes, we're the oppressed ones and we need your saving soon. We are approaching a world order where the West can't weaponize the dollar and the U.S. military, moral posturing and the English language. Even worse, that there is a world without the West. Vibrant economies and continents that don't need the declining European market and politically volatile United States. That business can be conducted amongst each other without the permission or participation of former empires. That their incessant lecturing is irrelevant and annoying. And while the West descends into civil chaos, with all the hallmarks of a sinking ship, the rise of populism, identity politics, unmanageable inflation and cost of living crises, they will point their finger at everyone else. And of course, there goes another $11 billion military package to Taiwan. And of course, we need to confront Chinese expansion in the South China Sea. Why the f*** is the U.S. in the South China Sea? So when the U.S. inevitably moves against China, remember then that you were in a Chinese time of your life.
We need a comprehensive strategy just like we had to defeat the Soviet Union.
So here we're going to go. So what do I think about her? I think that was probably a script written by the Chinese government, whatever is what it is. What do I think about it? A lot of truth. A lot of truth in there, no. Now, Crowder is going to come back with his fucking yo-yos, and they're going to nitpick it here and there. But what would I say? If the Chinese political system is wrong or weak or will collapse, then who cares? Focus on America. But they're not. They're focusing more and more on China. Why? Because the American empire is collapsing, and they're getting nervous. And when I say the Chinese political, I've just said it. It's not that it's the Chinese political system. It's the same political system we had in World War II under the Nazis. We just cannot fathom that could be a superior political system to ours. Because use common sense. If we have the superior political system over China, well, then there's no reason to worry about it. We'll win and China will lose. No reason to worry about it. Let's go in. Spartan Sadekar says, I think nuclear? That's the one I'm not an expert on. So one, I am not an expert. That's another person getting a strategy table. Is one, nuclear weapons. Two, I think they're going to be used. And three, I think they're going to come from Israel or America. Well, typical. We're going to start it. And that, I don't know. I mean, talk about who does what, which weapons. Some of them work, some of them not work. Who would survive? I mean, I think it was Einstein who mentioned that. He was like, I don't know how World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Like, we're going to blow. Meaning, this is what we do as man, and it is what it is, but we are a violent species, and we will use technology, and we're going to use it. So do I think the possibility of a nuclear war is becoming more and more probable? I do. It's just the way it is. Then if you said, well, who's the first going to use it? I would put my money on America and Israel. I would put my money on that. And then you'd say, but then who would win? I don't know. These are questions beyond me. That would be a good question. So who knows? But what I would say is, you don't think we're getting close to conflict with China? I mean, we're America. We're always into conflict. You think, I told you, two things are going to happen with Iran. One, we're going to put troops on the ground, which I hope we do. I hope Donald Trump does the draft. I want to see these MAGA people get drafted. I want to see these flags. I love Donald Trump. Draft them. Draft those assholes. Draft. So I actually hope he does boots on the ground. Or he's going to be like, this is not good. We're going to lose. Like he's getting under pressure. And I think he's going to say some bullshit like, I told you, we won, victory achieved, and no boots on the ground. And we're just going to pull out, and we're going to be like, okay, more hatred for America, deserving wasted money. But the point being is you don't think a major conflict's coming? I mean, conflicts have been happening my entire life, and who's been the instigator? America. That's the one thing I do have to give China. I think the battle with China, we're going to start it. Absolutely, we're already positioned. So let's talk a little bit. We're going to go through this, but we're not going to go through so much Crowder's talking about. I'd love to get on their shows and talk with them, especially if you're going to talk a China expert. Have you ever lived in China? Do you speak Chinese? Have you ever done formal studies? Have you ever done research on these organizations? I don't know where these, and like I said, my point remains, if America has the superior political system, then don't worry about it. Then don't worry about it. Worry more about American military veterans, you fucking limp dick Crowder, you fucking Canadian Canucks. Go the fuck back to the woods in Canada and eat a fucking beaver for all I care. Care about Americans more. Doesn't make any sense. Sparsiker says, I think there'll be a nuclear but tactical small man. Absolutely. And again, I just, part of leadership is you say what you know and say what you don't know. I am not an expert on nuclear war. I mean, that is just above my pay grade and above my expertise. But I am going to say we are going to go to war. I think they'll be utilized, whether it's a tactical nuke or something, they're going to be utilized. And then what would be the outcome? I don't know. I mean, it's just there's too many possibilities, but those would be some good expert podcasts. I'd be interested to hear what they have to say. But can you blame China or Russia or even North Korea after seeing America, who's basically said there's no such thing as international world order? Whoever's got the might rules. What would you do if you were China, North Korea, or Russia? I'd be like, we better make more nukes. We better build up our military. Because there's no world, there's no, and the reason there used to be a rules-based order, there used to be. And because it was written, I've done research on this, the rules were written in America's favor. So America's wanted the rules. But people were like, okay, at least there's rules. America now is losing. It's like the kid playing Monopoly game and he's losing. And what does he do? He cheats. So now we're starting to cheat, break the game, and we say, fuck it, there's no more rules. But once you do that, then countries realize, because they put their protection on these rules. Now there's no more rules. And what's the rule now? It's the law, the jungle. Though the big eat the small. So all these countries are going to do two things: build their military to include nuclear, or they better align very quickly to the big boys. And you're going to push a lot of Asian countries, like it or not, they would be like, no, we never really wanted to align with China, but man, we need China now. And you're going to see that. But this is not abnormal. This happens in history. The world order has broken down. We are now going in a multipolar world, which is going to be very dangerous. And the first player that's going to instigate a war, it's the same player that's been instigating wars for the decades. It's going to be America. We know it. We love to start wars in the name of peace. Any country now moving to build that? Yeah, I mean, if I would, so you're going to see news now from Fox News saying, China's building up their military. China's building nukes. What do you think they would do? I mean, if you were China, I would be like, well, we better build up. I mean, you got our own NATO allies, what Donald Trump said about Greenland. If I was NATO, I'd be building up. Absolutely. I think there's talks about Germany trying to rethink. If I was Germany, you better go nuclear. I keep saying it. Germany, it is time to get back your Nazi past. We killed all the best Germans. We killed all the high testosterone, the best DNA Germans. Hopefully some of you are still alive. It is time for you men to start procreating and take charge of Germany again. And that would help it, meaning, again, I've said this before, build Japan, build Germany, and that would at least more powers lead to maybe more of a stable world. But even Europe is realizing that this alliance with America, that's not very good. My best advice to the Europeans, you better start building up. All right, let's keep going on this.
All right, I'm going to go through. I think Canada made. No, we don't put. It's like a total to focus on it
from an American perspective.
At Tucker Carlson, and
the reason I would be happy to debate these people, but it's almost like an hour, and I want to go and I want to get to Tucker Carlson. And the reason I want to get to Tucker Carlson is he was a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a MAGA role model, and now he's just like, done. Okay, let's hear what he has to say. And let's put on a critical lens and see, is he right or not? Because, again, everybody else is a China expert. Everyone's a China expert these days.
Him discussing Taiwan with the editor-in-chief of The Economist.
Look at Taiwan. Again, we're going to go into it. I have lived in Taiwan. Fucked a lot of Taiwanese girls, too. I've said it many times. If you have a choice of mainland China or Taiwan, go to Taiwan. But I've always recommended Japan. I don't speak the Japanese language, and I always prefer Chinese. But Taiwan is basically, if Japan and China had a baby, it's Taiwan. It used to be a Japanese colony. But again, I still recommend Japan. But Taiwan, man, I had a fun time in Taiwan. But again, all these people are Taiwanese experts. All these people are Taiwan experts. And they all want to use your tax money to give to Taiwan and your soldiers, your American, to die for Taiwan. No, not at all. I like Taiwan, but not to that point.
The U.S. is not going to defend and cannot defend Taiwan. Now,
should not defend?
Yeah, so we're repeating this last time, but I want to hear Crowder. No, I don't think we should defend Taiwan. I think we should maybe defend our own borders. Don't really care that much about Taiwan. Best of luck to you, Taiwanese.
I don't know, should? That's not.
I mean, I'm asking you to lay out what you think a coherent.
I've said this before. Remember, you're talking to a liberal feminist woman. She's not going to join the military. She's not going to die. And she's working for the big corporations who, believe it or not, will also make money off your taxes this war. But when you meet women that really want to get into wars because they're not going to die, that starts to get into the definition of evil. They really like to send young boys to their death while they sit back and complain about the patriarchy. What an evil fucking woman. This is why I like Islam. How did we allow women the right to vote? How did this even happen? Maybe sometimes we should take some lessons with, hey, this is war. This is about diversity and inclusion and learning from other religions. I do think there's stuff that we could learn from Islam.
I think we've reached the limits of our power, and power has limits. Like, that's another thing just to keep in mind. Power is not infinite. You can squander it. And we're in the process of doing that.
And what about Japan and South Korea?
Oh, man, it's hard.
What did I say before about Japan and South Korea? It is time for Japan, like Germany, to rebuild. It will be a benefit for the world. A stronger militarily dominant Japan, a stronger military dominant Germany will be of a beneficial in this multipolar world. So my news to Japan is to rebuild. I like them. I thought when I was at West Point, I did a exchange at the Japanese Military Defense Academy. I've got faith in the Japanese. They want, and it's time to kick the U.S. military out of Japan so that way we could, like NATO, we could save American taxpayers' money, bring them back, and then have the Japanese spend their own tax money and spend their own men, their own lives, build up their military. They can do it.
I don't understand exactly how that's going to go at all from an American perspective, but like in the end, big powers want to and get to control their regions. We have something called the Monroe Doctrine. This was another problem I had with Russia. It's like Russia, of course, is going to demand influence in Ukraine. And you could say, oh, it's a sovereign country. They can't have any influence there. Be real. A big power wants to control, hopefully in a non-brutal, enlightened way, but they want some influence over their neighbors. We can no longer be the sole author of terms, of commerce, of anything. We have to share power.
With China?
Of course, because of their scale. And so there's got to be a non-destructive way to do it.
All right. So anyway, Spartan Sakura said so there's a political party. It's called the Chinese word is called the Kuomintang. I know it's a T. There's different spellings. The Kuomintang. It's the Kuomintang. That's the Chinese word. Anyway, just so you know, I know Americans always like to believe the typical dumb American, like they always think that they know better. No, trust me. In Taiwan, there is still, it could literally be, believe it or not, 50. If America pulls out of the defense of Taiwan, it would be overwhelming where the Taiwan would just say, fuck it, we're going back to China. But anyway, but you got to remember, and also during the Civil War between Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek was a nationalist. They were fascist. And even in Taiwan, I said, hey, how Chiang Kai-shek viewed, he was a fucking dictator. I mean, he ruled with an iron fist. He's not as popular as you think because he wasn't big on freedom. And I'm just saying, if you go through the history, there's nooks and crannies. It's not as simplified as you think. And so you might say, well, David, you're the China expert. What's the advice? Stay out of it. It's the best advice. America is falling apart. We don't have the blood. We don't have the trigger. Now, if you as a private individual want to send your money, I guess like Ukraine, you want to be a mercenary soldier and die for the time, go for it. Have fun. And like I care. I don't care. I don't pay U.S. taxes, and I'm not going to join the military, so go for it. Like I said, I hope Donald Trump fucking sends U.S. troops into Iran, ground force. Because I've seen a lot of times with the retardation in America, I don't think people are going to get it until do it. So for those like, I disagree with you, David. I think we should defend Taiwan, and if it costs our taxes and we're going to have to die, I think, do it. Have fun. Do it. I'm not going to do it, though. I mean, sooner or later, I just don't think you're going to convince people. But let's keep going. But so far, what Tucker Carlson is saying, not too radical.
Do this.
There was a lot there. What part of the Chinese propaganda that Tucker Carlson seems to be parroting?
And here are these dumb people. It's always Chinese propaganda. You know, if you say anything good about China, it must be from the China. You know, maybe you have a mind of your own, and maybe you're not getting paid any money. I get paid zero money. If anyone heard how much I talked about the gookie cookies and the chinky chinkies, probably not. If you know anything about China, it's not gonna stop. But it's not about the messenger. Focus on the message. So what Tucker Carlson said sounds pretty good. But let's let these China experts, let them critique it. Let's have a critique.
There stood out to you the most?
So give me a second on this, but the one that jumps out is his either fundamental misunderstanding or misinterpretation of the Monroe Doctrine, which was to not allow, but so that the United States would control the Western Hemisphere and prevent other powers from interfering in that. While we said we would not interfere with Europe's pre-existing colonial interests outside of the Western Hemisphere. So first of all, he has a misunderstanding there. Second of all,
okay, you have to remember the Monroe Doctrine pertains to America. China has their own doctrine. I guess he's going to connect the dots soon, but we as Americans have a Monroe Doctrine. Whether we want to still uphold that or not, good luck. But that doesn't pertain to China. But maybe he's about to connect the dots with the Monroe Doctrine in China.
All the U.S. foreign policy now and has always been is to be the hegemon in our region, which is the Western Hemisphere, while not allowing any other country, singular country, to dominate its region.
So I want you to focus on that. And this is what I've said. Now, he's true on that. The reason why that Germany is different than Israel bleeds us dry. We give him. But why do we not want Germany to build their military? They could do it. We don't. We don't want a strong Germany. We also don't want a strong Japan. Now, that's fine if you want to do it, but it costs blood and treasure. I'm to the point, let Germany and let Japan build. But he is right on that. Anyone who served in the military knows we never wanted. Part of NATO is to keep Germany down, keep Russia out. It's that divide and conquer sort of thing. But like I said, if you want to be a world superpower, if you want to be the biggest bully on the block, it expends energy. It's called blood and treasure. I doubt these two yo-yos served in the military. But anyway, let's keep going.
So therefore, we don't let Russia dominate Europe, Eurasia. We do not let China dominate the Western Pacific, because once you...
Like I said, though, it's also Germany, and meaning it's the same with our allies. We don't want our allies to dominate either. We want to be supreme.
You let those countries dominate a region. Right now, there's no hegemon in Asia.
Right.
There's no global hegemon, so we don't control Asia. We don't control Europe, but we have interest in them.
Hard to say. I mean, we're losing, but the hegemon of the world was America. We are losing power. But if you've been to Asia, I served in NATO. NATO is a American run. So who has influence in Europe? Who has influence in Asia? America. The problem is we're waning, and that leaves gaps.
And it's obvious that we have commercial interests, security interests, because we are a Pacific country. So what he's saying is we essentially allow China to control Asia. What that means for Japan and South Korea.
Yeah, so Spartan Sadako, he's right. If you think about, I've said many times, where's the thing? I should do this on Donald Trump. How many times have you heard faggot Donald Trump saying, NATO, why didn't you pay your money? Like a little kid, like a little faggot. What do I say? NATO, pay up, or we start closing military bases. Boom, boom, boom. We won't. We don't. Why? Because we're willing to take the tax hit because we want to dominate Europe. We don't want a strong Germany. Does anyone study the history of Germans? The Germans have really good, something called DNA, really good DNA. Think about it. Look at Africa. Africa's a shithole. Look at Germany after World War II. Bombed to shit, and guess what? Rebuild it. That's something that's very magical about the white man. We're good at destroying societies and building societies at the same time. Germany could build. Germany's military probably could be better than ours. We don't want it. Same thing with Japan. We don't want it. So that's why Americans are like, why are we spending all this taxpayer money and then lies? And why doesn't Japan? Because we don't want it. We want to be number one. The problem is we're starting to realize we are going broke. We can't do it. Empires don't fall softly, people. It's like boom. But don't fool yourself. If you think we're in Europe because we're the good guys and we're protecting Europe, we're saying this is our colony. Same thing with our industry in Europe. We conquer. We send in our military. Once our military's there, we change the politics, and then we send in our globalist corporations. And a lot of Europeans are real. I'm telling you, to the Europeans, you are an American colony. It is time for you to stand up. Believe it, but we'll keep going.
I think it's very obvious. I don't think they'll be treated as peers or as
no,
equals.
Man, I don't know was his response. That's tough.
We've seen this historically, just like we didn't want to allow the Japanese to control Asia for the exact same reasons.
And still don't.
And we still don't. If Japan wanted to remilitarize and take over that, we couldn't, because 50% of the globe's economy is in that region. That means some of our...
Yeah, okay. So again, this is the first time I'm seeing these guys. I don't know who these guys are. One, I don't think they serve in the military. Two, they're not China experts. And I don't even think they're political experts. The point is very simple, people. If you want to be the world superpower like we have been for decades now, you are going to have to utilize blood and treasure. But the global elites won't. They're not going to expend any of their blood. Look at Donald Trump. You think him and his kids are going to serve in the military? Nor are they going to expend their treasure. Why? Because they're going to make money. All these wars are make money. So if you're the regular American citizen, you know, your uncle, your cousins, your brother, they're going in the military. They're going to die. Sorry, tough shit. No one cares. And you're an American citizen that just works the regular corporate shit 9-to-5 job. Well, the dollar's going to get printed to pay for this taxes. Inflation's going up, and your standard of living's going down. But the top one, that's what I'm saying. When we look about the system in America, is it good or bad? It depends. If you're the top 1% in America, this could quite possibly America, the best system that's ever created in the world ever, if you're the top 1% in America. And they're the ones who are defending this. Yeah, we should get in these wars. America's good. It's capitalism. If you don't have money, you're dumb. If you don't have money, you just don't work hard. Yeah, it's working for them. Great. But again, we'll see with these people. Let's keep going on with these experts.
Biggest trading partners, where our crops go, where we get stuff from.
Yep.
It's vitally important. So if we follow the line of thinking that Tucker wants us to follow, and that starts with the first domino and not intervening in a Taiwan contingency, because make no mistake, that is the first domino to that first island chain falling, and then being able to project power into the Pacific and keep us out.
What did I say? I remember I told you my story once a cadet at West Point, and I saw the handover of Hong Kong. Taiwan will fall. Whatever, get handover to China. You know what Americans are going to do? It's going to be big news. And then you're going to be like, you're going to go back to work. Now, will there be ripple-on effects in the world order? There will be. It's happening. It happens all the time. If we win, we lose. There were ripple effects of us now invading Venezuela, invading Iran. So in some ways, you know, hey, Joe, did you hear we dropped another bomb on Iran? Okay, sounds good. I don't give a shit. So in some ways, you're going to go about your day. No one's going to care. But it will change the system. So you might say, but what are you saying, David? We are going down, whether you like it or not. We don't have the blood and treasure, meaning Taiwan is going to return to China. Why? Because we as an American superpower are losing our power, and it is what it is. And tough times in America are coming, whether you know it or not. But the top 1% are fine. Trust me, they'll have their bunkers, their other passports, their money in Switzerland. There'll be a cushion for them. But for the regular Americans, the empire's full. What do I keep saying? The American empire is in decline. But let's keep worrying about Taiwan.
we lose huge commercial interest, and we lose not only that, but prosperity in our own country. Read the book, read Elbridge Colby's work on this. He explains very meticulously how our interests being taken over by China in that region would materially ruin the quality of life in the United States. Because once they achieve their power there, what they are going to want to do is make sure that we do not have the capability to challenge that. So they
Absolutely right on that. But the point is, I want to see where is he going. China wants to kick America out of Asia. Is that going to hurt us? Absolutely. But I want to look at this little punk. I don't think he ever served in the military. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do, punk? I think we should go to war with him. Get your fucking ass to go to war. We're not going to do it. The point being is, of course, we're going. It's like becoming the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. I mean, of course, life is good. And when you give up that belt and you take a step down, life is going to suck. But if you want to keep that belt, what do you have to do? You got to keep fighting. You got to keep defending it. And then you're realizing you're getting hit. You're already, why? What are we doing? These guys aren't going to do it. But it is. We are going to get demoted. Don't want to do it? Well, then keep your taxes up and get ready to go for another war.
It will systematically weaken. And if you think they'll just let us exist peacefully over in the Western Hemisphere, no. We're not stupid. They're not stupid. Russia's not stupid. We're all playing the same game. Tucker just wants us to lose that game for some reason.
It seems...
My first question to these guys are they military veterans? That would be my first question. Meaning, if this is such a big deal, then what do you want to do? Go to war? That's what it usually comes at. That's what I'm saying when we talk about aggression. Who's been the most aggressive country for the last decades? It's America. We're always getting into war. So I would be more worried about America. I say the same thing. Mark me down. When it comes to the First Nation who does nukes, Israel, America. That's my money's on.
It seems like that, but it also seems like a big advertisement for government-controlled economies. And what we've seen with China is not a complete, like...
That is a definition of fascism in a way. So he doesn't like fascism. Okay. Well, then my answer is, if fascism is an inferior political system, you've got nothing to worry about. America will win and China will lose, right?
Russian system where they're setting the price of everything, right? So it's not completely top down. It's basically a system, and you probably have better kind of language for this than I will, but in a sense, there's an element of capitalism with heavy government control.
That's called fascism.
State capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. State capitalism is probably the best way to say it. And that's kind of the in vogue thing right now. Mm-hmm. Let the state have enough power to determine what kind of rights you can have through a social credit score, what kind of traveling, banking information you can.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's like one democracy. I mean, France is a democracy. America, we're not the same. But yeah, these social. And what did I say? Life in China from 2010 to now, not good. I left. So just because you have two systems that are fascism and fascism doesn't mean they're exactly the same. I mean, look at us in Canada, there's different. But yeah, this sort of government control, freedom, stuff like that, no, I'm not a fan of that at all. It just depends. There's different elements of it. But I say again, if you believe China has the inferior political system and America has the superior, then you shouldn't be worried about it. But if you like Trump, and I said it, you like Trump, part of the reason you like him is he's the most nationalist president we've ever seen. Remember, America first. That's part of nationalism.
Or banks that you can even be a part of, places that you can possibly go. Your life will be controlled, but in exchange for that, you'll have a relatively high quality of life. Now,
hopefully.
Well, I mean, they're talking a little communism now, but keep going. Again, I would say, listen, spend less time thinking about China, more time speaking about America, but let's see where they go.
Hopefully is the right answer. You may want to kill yourself and or others because of how kind of suffocating that life is.
There's a phenomenon in China right now because the youth unemployment is so high where they pretend to go to work and there's like WeWork.
Yeah, it's called lying flat. That is true. The economy, it's picking up, but it was. I mean, they hit a major, it's called tangsha. Yeah, basically lying flat.
Set up for the youth to go to. Sit? They just go sit all day. They pay a couple bucks to sit in the room and pretend like they're working so their families don't know.
Jeez. That's the kind of thing. Like it just feels like a big advertisement for that right now. And Tucker, this is not the.
Yeah, but you know what? I also look at these guys. I'd say, listen, why do you buy? Meaning, if China is such a bad political system, then stop buying made in China goods, because we don't give a shit. We just want the. And also, American corporations should decouple from China and go home. Wouldn't you say that? But these guys will spend an hour saying China's bad, China's bad, China's bad. And then that cheap, because it's all about the money in America, that cheap made in China product, you know what they'd say? I'll buy it. What does it say about us?
First time that he's been parroting talking points of a country that we would look at and go, wait a minute, why are you doing, like, you want to take some of the good aspects from civilizations historically and currently
China
around
has
the world?
those
Fine.
now.
Yes.
To pretend they don't have anything going for them is a lot. Their engineering state is phenomenal. The things they can build quickly, we can learn from that.
Absolutely. But to go out there and start to say with definitive certainty that these people are doing this better, just like the Moscow train station, the Moscow grocery store, those propaganda videos, had no problem with the Tucker interview with Putin, thought it was fantastic for him to go do that, had a really big problem with him putting out propaganda.
You know what? You know what's happening? It reminds me of the same thing with these MAGA influencers that are doubling down. MAGA's strong, MAGA's strong, man, MAGA's strong. You want to know why they're doing it? Because they're nervous, because MAGA's splitting. Same thing here. Tucker's talking about Russia this and talking about China that. You're nervous, aren't you? Meaning, again, do you think Russia and China are not really good systems? Then who cares? Stop talking about who cares. Pay more attention to American military veterans and stop buying Chinese goods. Very simple, though. They're very enamored with this topic of China, because I remember when I started studying China, this would have been when I was at West Point. This is the early 1990s. China at that time wasn't very strong. No one cared about China. But as China becomes stronger politically, economically, militarily, people are starting to care more about them. Maybe that's why. Because otherwise, if you think that they're not good or this, then don't pay attention to them.
For the Russians right after that, and it wasn't just this video, it wasn't just this sit down with The Economist, where Tucker, I don't, the grift, the being paid by, I have no idea why Tucker goes.
Oh, he's paid for. That's like me. I'm sure everyone thinks I'm being paid by the Chinese government. It's got to be. If you say anything, this shows how stupid we are in America, why our education system's dumb. If you say anything other than the common talking points, you must be getting paid. I mean, I don't know, maybe you learn something, have a different opinion.
Down this road, I have no clue if it's just for clicks or if he's being paid. So I'm not going to say either one, but I just know it's factually not correct, and I think he knows he's lying. But on top of that, there was another interview that he did.
I think it was a monologue that he had.
A monologue on his show before the interview that he did. So he plays this at the beginning of his show, his monologue, where he discussed similar things on China.
Now, it is a multipolar world. You've heard that phrase, no doubt, and that means there are at least a couple centers of gravity. Really, there are two. There's the U.S. and the constellation of states with which it's allied, and then there is, on the eastern hemisphere of the globe, China.
He's right. I mean, I would put the BRICS, but China is the central figure with the BRICS, or what's called the Shanghai Cooperation. I mean, you still have Russian stuff, but yeah, I would go with that. China is that main party in there, and the world seems to be splitting, you know, sort of like an allies axis, like a World War II sort of thing. So far, I would probably agree with that basic logic.
And China is now a peer with the United States, at least.
I would disagree with them on that. I would disagree. I believe that America is a declining empire, and I believe China is rising. But seeing it firsthand, they are still not at parity with America in many things, but they're growing. And so many times, like I said, with their U.S. military, they don't want to get in a fight with America. But in 10 years, I could change my mind. So I don't agree that they are on parity with America. But one is declining, one is rising.
Almost no matter how you measure it. Population, of course, much bigger. Military power, well, we're not quite sure, but certainly from a technological and industrial output standpoint, at least a peer. And then on a pure economic level, well, China has a bigger economy, a bigger real economy than the United States.
All right. That's just factually incorrect.
Just wrong.
Just straight up wrong. And
okay, I made some points that they might agree with. Let me skip because I'm looking at the time. Let me just skip through. Again, these people might agree with some of the points I made. You go here. Let's go here.
Systems that are antithetical to what we believe here in the United States. But I'm a Christian and I love this country. This is Tucker Carlson. Again, I'm a Christian.
We hate Russia because it's white, Gerald.
It's white Christian, and that's what we learned. That's our lesson from World War II, is what he said. Apparently, that's why we hated Germany, too, because it was white and Christian. Apparently, that's why we bombed, what was it, Hiroshima or Nagasaki, where we bombed the church. And it was the Christian capital of that region.
Was France not also Catholic during World War II?
I mean, I think so, maybe. I think there was a lot of Catholic priests in Germany.
Obviously, I skipped around. I haven't seen this entire clip, so I'm not quite sure where they're getting at here with the Christian thing. But anyone knows that we are not a Christian nation in America, thanks to globalism, the corporation, the government. We're not a Christian nation anymore in America, so that's not very good.
Well, we must hate all of them, I guess.
It's so reductive.
It's ridiculous. And listen, I don't want to just be like, oh, he's ridiculous. We gave you the facts to rebut what he's saying. And Tucker is just parroting CCP talking points and Alexander Duggan talking points as well, because he's parroting CCP talking points. Weird. In his, book, Foundation of Politics in 1997, he openly talks about subverting America with internal divisions. That's Duggan.
That is the guy
Well, like I said, we are being divided in America, not by China, not by Russia. You really think Iran? There are forces that are dividing us. I would say, some people would say, is it Israel? I would generally look at it. I would say there's a concept called globalism. Globalism, communism, feminism, they're very similar. And these are concepts by both our globalist government and these globalist corporations. And I've said this many times, the more negative you talk about China, and at the same time, you buy made in China. What does that say about your ethics? What does it say about your ethics? If you look at your children and say, China is the most evil regime I've ever seen. Wow, made in China. That's cheap. I'll buy it. Dad, don't you have any morals or ethics? Fuck it, kid. It's about money. I mean, I would just start with that. That maybe, and because you're going to see Donald Trump shake hands with China. You want to know why? Because our country only respects power. And power is with economics and military might. And as China goes more and more, you're going to see Donald Trump. He's going to try to make a deal with China. China's good. He thinks because we really don't have many morals. It's really all about the money. But I say that again. The more negative you talk about China, and if you buy made in China products, what does that say about your morals?
Came up with the multipolar theory that they keep parroting and parroting and parroting. He's the guy who, and what stands in the way of that is American dominance. And in his book, he has prescribed how to get rid of America. He says our culture is the most destructive thing, not our military. He doesn't like our culture, and he's prescribed how to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our culture has changed. You don't think our culture has changed? And how would I say our culture? I don't know. Anti-white male, I would start. You don't see that in America? This anti-white. I mean, look who formed America. Heterosexual, Christian, white, Western European men. You don't see that, this anti-white male rhetoric in America. I don't see that in China. In China, the Chinese man, number one. It's all about the Chinese man, China. In our country, no. The white man is more and more marginalized. I would say we have a major problem because it doesn't matter how strong your military is. If you have men, to include me, who is not going to fight and die for a culture, a country, a society of people that have betrayed us, then yeah, you got a problem with that.
To knock us down. And now Tucker is taking those talking points and mainstreaming them within the American right.
And doing it very effectively. Making it seem like he knows what he's talking about. He has sources. He's talked to people. We know this. It's fact. Nobody's even arguing this. And look, your cities could be nicer too. Look, maybe you'd have better health care. And look, maybe you'd have less social unrest. And maybe it would be more white and more Christian.
Well, and again, people have asked me, and I've learned this from China. Again, it's not China. It's from, you got to look again from National Socialism. If our country became more Christian, became more European, and freedom, our freedom of speech, then I believe we would have a better country. So you ask yourself, Christianity has been dropping through the decades. European culture, and yes, white people, European, has been dropping. Freedoms have been dropping. Where's this trend going? It's going to keep going. You don't see a problem in that? Oh, and that's China. China is doing that? I don't know. China has radicalized me in the opposite direction. I've said many times, a lot of this woke stuff in America, that's not found in China at all. China, they are nationalism. They put, end of story. You want a strong country, you need strong men. That's leadership 101 for you, pretty simple. You want a strong country, you need strong men. Why was America such a strong country? Because we had strong men. Who founded our country? Strong men, European men, heterosexual men, Christian men. It's a simple formula. China and Russia, they're sabotaging us. No, don't think so at all. They woke me up, and I realized, man, we're going down the wrong path.
Do you see the game that Tucker's playing? I really hope you do.
Poland is all of those things right now, never cited once by Tucker.
Not once.
There's a reason for it.
And I don't think we ever.
Now, one thing, and I think Tucker might be doing this, he's talking about fascism, but you have to understand, I do see some of these white monkeys. I'm not a white monkey because I'm not getting paid most of the stuff. Anyway, some of these are liberals in America or Europe, and they say China's great. That's fine, but China is an ethno-state. So you get these, I'm giving an example, but you get the liberal in America, like, we need to stop racism. China is so great. What are you talking about? China's one of the most racist countries. As long as I don't have a problem with racism now. That's what China has helped me deal with my racism that I was indoctrinated in America to think, white men, you're racist. I'm telling you, if you're a white man, we are the least racist men alive. Alive. Who? Black men? No. Chinese men. I have firsthand knowledge of Chinese men or Chinese women, Chinese people. They are racist as fuck. That's not necessarily an insult. That's not necessarily an insult. In some ways, that could be construed as a compliment. But this sort of anti-white and racism, or we are so, I see it now that I'm on social media, because before I'm in China, I'm not really paying attention, but I am interacting with Americans now, social media. It's evident that the typical white man is really afraid of being called a racist or this or that. Chinese have no fucking problem with it. No problem. If you're not Chinese, you don't get a citizenship. That's an easy way to defeat diversity. End of story. If you're not ethnically Chinese, you don't get a citizenship. That is the definition of an ethno-state. Just be careful, because sometimes you hear these dumb liberals who are like, I think China's good, which is fine, but you're like, it's an ethno-state. What? The problem in America is we have to fight racism. But I really like China. I don't know what type of fucking crack cocaine they're on.
Will. Look, Tucker, you can put all this to rest by explaining why you tend to always side on these regimes' side. Why do you always come down on that side? Why are you always painting the United States as the bad guy? Why are you always pushing and prodding and...
I don't know. I would say to Louder with Crowder. Now, it is true. Some of these people may not know who I am, but I wrote Louder with Crowder a lot of times. I would say, I don't know, why aren't you helping out an American military veteran? Why are you more focused on China and less focused on helping out American citizens like me? Why am I on the FBI terrorist watch list? Why am I censored? I've been suspended 3 times on X. That I'm a military veteran, and people say, look at Elon Musk, he's given us back our free speech. Not me. I think that's an interesting question. And I was a paying member. Why was I suspended 3 times on X as a military veteran? Why is my passport flagged? Why am I? You don't think? No, let's keep focusing on China. I don't know. Why don't you focus more on military veterans? I would like to know.
Digging for the truth when it comes to your favorite talking points in interviews, but giving a complete runway to people who parrot everything that you have been talking about. And don't challenge them at all. Don't push back on anything. That's the pattern that I am seeing right now. Tucker knows how to do an interview. I've seen it. He does it very, very well. He pushes very, very well. And he could do that to some of the people pushing these talking points, but he doesn't. I think you're seeing exactly what he wants you to see. And at this point, I'm not saying Tucker Carlson is just a guy who's got the wrong idea. He's a propagandist, period.
Interesting enough, Tucker fell from grace, at least in the MAGA circles. Why? I mean, you got a guy like Joe Kent, and I don't know Joe Kent's background. You know what I'm talking about. He kind of fell from grace. But I just want you to think, I mean, this is something we learned at Harvard. Not like Harvard is that great, but they focus us a lot on what's called critical thinking, which a lot of times governments don't want smart people. The best the governments want, they want dumb people that are just smart enough to operate the equipment to do their jobs. But we really don't want people that are very critical thinkers. That was one of the reasons I went to China. I wanted to crack this code, for lack of a better word, because I knew our government didn't understand China. They don't. But the point being is what's wrong with critical thinking? What is wrong with this message that he's talking about? And I say again, it goes back. It's not China, because China is the flavor of the week, the flavor of the year, the flavor of, could be the century, truth be told. But if you took this thing called fascism and put it to fucking Canada, it's the same thing. Why? Because I want you to answer this question. Why is it that in America, it would be easier to sell social media influence, pedophilia over Adolf Hitler or this thing called National Socialism? You got to ask yourself, what is going on? And so when I went to China, it's National Socialist, and I just started absorbing, and there's no doubt about it. I started learning it with my own eyes. This stuff. When I left America, if you would have said, David, what do you think about Adolf Hitler? I would have been like, I don't know. What do you want to know? He's a good leader, don't you think? Talk to you later. Last time I'm talking to that guy. That's probably what my interaction. When I was in the FBI Academy, they talk about it. We go to the Holocaust Museum in D.C., but I would have been probably the typical white kid in America. I don't know what that is, typical, and that is, yeah, we got to work on our racism in America, meaning white guys. Got to work on our racism. And Adolf Hitler, that guy was evil. And the Holocaust, and we got to help the Jews and women. Yeah, I know we don't treat women good. I know it's the patriarchy. I mean, that would be China flipped. So this is what happens when you get educated. Where are they? What experience do they have? You show me my resume and their resume put together. Let's do a comparison. But the point is that we're looking at America, that if you have a different opinion and it's immediately like, I don't know, propaganda, that really? That's the best you have to do? It reminds me of people that just shout to white people racist, right? If they don't like it, racist, and it works. Just curious where these people are talking about. But anyway, let's go.
We'll see you next time.
So what I want to do.
Country.
Okay, we're doing one video.
First 2 months of this.
And this is the part about China growing. This is what I'm telling you, people. China is growing. And the reason, oh, by the way, if you live in China, you see all the American corporate. Remember, I worked for the Boeing Corporation in China. That's called the Military Industrial Complex. Don't you think Boeing should not be in China working directly with the Chinese government? Wouldn't that be a good idea? If you're like, think about who helped China grow? The American corporation. You didn't make any money if you're a normal American citizen. Our government did, and the CEOs did, all on the high levels. But anyway, it is what it is. But if you study history books, powers go. And I'm telling you, China is a rising power and America is a decreasing power. And one of the things, the title of the book is Betrayed. China never betrayed us. If you're a white man, China never betrayed you. Your government, meaning the Western governments, betrayed you. These Western corporations betrayed you. I would say white women. Asian women treat me very nice. They worship me. I can tell you the sexual stories. I thought that in America you could say I was a stud with women. Oh my God, going to Asia. I mean, they call it double, meaning whatever you were in America. Like if you were a 5, you're a 10. If you're a 7, you're a 14. If you're a 2, you're at least a 4 in Asia, and whatever it is. Asian women, I can't really complain about them. White women have betrayed us. Asian women, black women, Hispanic, Arab women, I don't have a problem with them. I don't think they ever betrayed us. White women have betrayed us. Western governments have betrayed us. Western corporations, American, have betrayed us. These are our enemies. China never did. You don't want to know what China wants to do? Wants to get strong. I don't blame them. Every country wants to grow. Germany wants to grow. We don't want Germany to grow. Japan, which is a phenomenal country. I've always said this. If you go to Asia, the creme de la creme is still Japan. We don't want Japan to grow. Are we really that good friends? Either way, you don't believe me. You know as well as I do, this system in America and the world order, it's changing. We know that. Whether you like it or not, it's changing. And I would tell you is get educated. Who are you going to believe? I don't know. The first question I would ask is, does this person have expertise? Like I said, I'm actually curious about nuclear war. I'm not an expertise on that. That is very complicated. But these people talking about China, I'm an expert on China. Who are these people? Tucker Carlson, he's not an expert on China, but I seem to agree, General. I haven't heard everything he's saying. Sounds reasonable to me. Let's see where this is going.
Yeah, America has conducted military actions in Iran and Venezuela, as well as threatened to annex Greenland.
It sounds like we're returning to a world of jungle rule.
The Trump administration's talk about potentially using force to take Greenland was extremely consequential. I do think that this was a real turning point for many countries in Europe.
All these events.
Yeah, I don't know what Trump was thinking about Greenland. I believe we need to get out of NATO in terms of monetary and let Germany grow. You don't insult your allies. I mean, if you're a Danish guy and you have any bit of testosterone in you, I would have told Americans, you step foot on Greenland, I'm going to blow your fucking brains out. What would Americans do if Canada starts saying, I think it's time for us to take Alaska back? You're like, what? What did you just say, Canadians? You fucking Canucks? You step in Canada, we're going to blow your fucking head off. You don't talk to people. You don't talk to high testosterone men like that. Which is probably why Donald Trump is like, those Danish guys are cooks. They're probably all eating Danish rolls and butter rolls or something like that. And it's true. Western Europe is an American colony. But man, what he was saying about Greenland, insulting. But you Western Europeans are cucks. And you act like a cuck, you're going to get treated like a cuck.
Mark a seismic shift. The American-led world order is fading. And in its place, a resurgence of power politics.
Stephen Miller, one of Trump's closest advisors, says we're a superpower. We can do what we want.
In an age of global realignment, is this an opportunity for China?
Oh, I love it. This is the great. So we have a person called DeReal. No one can protect Greenland but the U.S. Really? Well, I don't know if that's your real picture. I think we got a volunteer who needs to go into the military. So, DeReal, it's time for you to suit up, get in the U.S. Army, and we're going to ship you off to Greenland because we got a volunteer for the American military because no one can protect Greenland but the U.S. And partly, I would agree, because what she's saying or he's saying, because the Europeans are cucks. I'm not going to necessarily argue with that, but if they wanted to, if that German testosterone is still there somewhere that survived World War II, if that a couple of guys in Germany that still have that high testosterone can repopulate, Germany could do this. The Europeans can do that. But in terms of no one can protect Greenland but the U.S., well, then you do it. Join the military. I'm not going to Greenland. I'm not going to join it, but you do it.
On January 20th, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke of the seismic shift in geopolitics.
In finance and supply chains.
Today I will talk about a rupture in the world order, the end of a pleasant fiction and
So what's interesting now is everyone remember when I got on social media 2 years ago, what I'm speaking is now mainstream. I said the world order is coming to an end. We are going to a global world order. I even used the word American empire. These words are now becoming mainstream. A lot of these yo-yos in the government are also reading the book, watching my, trust me, I give more education to the United States government than these get from within. But what I'm trying to say is it is now becoming mainstream. What? America's a declining power. 1, 2, the world is going multipolar. 3, China's rising. Along with other things, that's the way it is. So Daryl says Denmark can't stop Russia, China, or the U.S. Yeah, okay. So I guess you were. Either way, I guess it's time for you. I just want to know, did you serve in the military? Are you a military veteran? Tell me if you're a military veteran or not.
Beginning of a harsh reality where geopolitics, where the large main power geopolitics is submitted to no limits, no constraints.
I think Prime Minister Carney essentially gave voice to what a lot of people were thinking about, feeling and sensing nervous about already, with the United States not just stepping back as an anchor of...
Well, here's the good thing about these Western countries, to include Canada. They have marginalized white men. We all know that. And in fact, what did I also say? And I defended Trump. When Trump got elected, he was saying that these generals are weak. Guess what? Pete Hegseth got in. It is. Our country's weak, but it's not as bad as Western Europe or Canada. I mean, the testosterone level's there, but you're starting to realize karma, regret. You cannot have strong countries when you have weak men. And trust me, the people think Americans are weak or strong. No, we're weak. It's weak. But the point is, you're definitely seeing it from Canada and these countries that are realizing, oh my God, what if a war happens? What can we do? But they've also realized too, what if maybe the biggest danger is America? Like if I was Denmark, I would think, man, maybe the biggest danger isn't Russia, isn't China, maybe it's America. And then us Americans say, what are you going to do about it, Denmark? Pussies. And they're realizing nothing. And then they're realizing. And so that's what you're going to start seeing. You're going to start seeing a change. And there's a good change because weak men have created weak countries. And in order to get these countries stronger, particularly Germany, you're going to have to unleash strong men again.
The global economic and security order, but also in many ways trying to change that order, right, in terms of the trade relationships, in terms of some of the security relationships.
When analysts and politicians speak of the previous...
Daryl, if you want to make a comment, introduce yourself, so that way we can debate. I'm going to assume you're an American, and I'm going to assume you've never served in the military. And I'm assuming you've always wanted to tell me thank you for your service, because you're the typical MAGA cuck. So if you're going to be the typical MAGA cuck, I am in the military, so I know you can't wait. Please tell me, thank me for my service.
Previous world order. They refer to the Western-led liberal order, sometimes called the rules-based order, that emerged after World War II.
The previous system was one of globalization and multilateralism, and there was something in that for everyone. Everybody benefited.
Out of that model came institutions like the United Nations, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and later the World Trade Organization.
That order or system of relations between countries globally, that was very much underpinned by US economic and military strength.
The rest of us in when we can, but for the longest time, America was the one that provided the strongest support to that.
In recent years, America began to question its role in propping up this world order, a shift that has accelerated.
You know, it comes a lot with economics. We just can't afford it. We're just realizing, and I look at Donald Trump, this is not negative, but it's not perfect. He's running the country a lot like a CEO. And he's looking in terms of economics, and he's realizing that if we're going to be the world superpower, we can't afford it anymore. So you can say what you want. And as he keeps printing US dollars, and I predicted that too, Donald Trump will do just like the Democrats do. He's going to print US dollars. Well, and this, you go back to Ross Perot, was a pretty interesting possible candidate, third candidate. He said, we cannot be a military superpower if we are not an economic superpower. So keep the printing going on. We'll see where this goes.
Accelerated under President Trump.
America's feeling is that it's not getting as much out of that system as it did before. So it wants to withdraw, or it wants to ask others to put in more of their weight, which is a legitimate ask.
In the face of American retreat, eyes turn to its chief rival, China.
So again, these are the BRICS. So there's no doubt about it. I would say China is the ringleader. I'm not going to disagree with that. But non-Western countries, this is the phenomenon of the BRICS, are going more and more, and they want a new world order. Why? Because the current world order, the way the rules are written, they were written to favor America. And a lot of these small non-Western nations didn't have the power to push back, even though they knew it was a raw deal for them. But now with China and this organization of the BRICS, through their joint effort, they could push back to America. But it's also economics. They just feel like it was a raw deal under the American rules-based system, and they want to go to the BRICS. The world is changing. China, I would say, is definitely the ringleader. But it's not just China, though.
世界进入新的动荡变革期，全球治理走到新的十字路口。
Post-Cold War, China was one of the biggest beneficiaries.
Xi Jinping was like, 新的十字路口. He's like, we are about to go to new crossroads. It is. Whether you know this or not, we are about to go to, and when we are the problem with America, and that's where there's so much anxiety, when you're at the very tippity top, which America is, there's only one direction to go, down. But it's not just China. There will be other countries that are going to rise. Even, and I say this with absolute joy, European countries. When I was at West Point, my number one choice was to serve in Germany. I was only interested in Asia for China, meaning I could get stationed in South Korea if I wanted to. We have U.S. Army bases in South Korea. It's pretty easy to go to South Korea. I just wasn't interested, even though I say Japan is cool. I always recommend Japan, but I was always interested in China. I was studying Chinese at West Point. Well, you ain't going to go to China or Taiwan or anything like that. I said, well, I want to go to Germany. I want to go to Europe. And I felt sad because World War II's over, at least in an American mind. It ain't over in Germany. It felt like it just happened yesterday, and they're just living under this. And so when I say the New World Order about countries are going to rise, some of them, and I'm happy, are going to be Western countries like Germany. Now, there's going to be a major split. It's like America. They have major problems too with their globalism, their liberalism, their feminism. That I think there's going to be a major break until they could rise. But they're going to rise. You're going to see a Germany rise.
Beneficiaries of the old world order.
For a lot of the last 8 decades, China was not a great power. China was not prosperous.
And I say this now because I was the guy studying China way back in the early 90s. I know this. People weren't, if you go back in the 80s, the big country was Japan in Asia. Like if you're in the 1980s or more, if you're interested in Asia, it was Japan. So when I started studying China in the early 90s, it wasn't a big deal. Now it's a big deal. For good or for bad, criticism or good. Why? Because China's getting more powerful. It's getting more powerful.
This is China's GDP before WTO accession in 2001. This is its GDP after.
If you look at the trajectory after China's joining WTO in 2001, China has reaped remarkable economic growth because of the inflow of foreign direct investment, because of the increased Chinese export to the other countries. So to put it simply, without this kind of order, it would have been impossible for China.
So I actually lived right there in Beijing. I don't know if you see it. That is
to other countries. So
1 second.
to put it simply, without this kind of order, it.
So I'll give you some. So you see that it's called the Kuzidalo. Kuzi means pants. You see that building that looks like pants? They call it the pants, like going down. That's also where major China intelligence is located. That's their CCTV, not their CCTV like in the English version of, like a CCTV monitoring camera. CCTV, that's 中国电视台. It's the Chinese. It's like their version of CNN. That's their headquarters right there in Beijing. Pretty interesting. Lots of security in that place. But you're just seeing it in China. It's so evident. You're seeing the rise. And is it a malicious rise? No, they just want. I mean, that's where all people around the world are similar. We all generally we want more money, we want more respect, we want more power. We want that. Of course, nations are going to do it. Trust me. Today it's China. Tomorrow it's India. It's going to be India. This is going to happen. Why? Because at the end of the day, America, whether you believe this or not, still embraces globalism. And as long as you embrace globalism, these countries will prosper. Because your money or whatever, legal immigration, whatever you want to call it, it's through globalization that has allowed China and India, all these countries to prosper. Why? Because we are a globalist country. We are not a Christian country anymore in America. Sorry, break the news to you. We are a globalist country.
It would have been impossible for China to become the second largest economy as it is today.
Leather Style is a Hong Kong-listed company headquartered in Shenzhen, China.
So yeah, I mean, anyone who's been to, now Hong Kong is a little different than mainland China. Talk about money. It is unbelievable the amount of money that's going on in China or in Hong Kong.
The garment manufacturing supply platform works with 150 partner factories across Asia, serving clients in fashion, outdoor, and active wear sectors.
We serve 175 brands, mainly in Europe and America, and also dotted around Australia and other regions. We are a constant advocate.
So what I will say about China that's different than America, obviously they have advantage to compete with us, cheaper labor, this and that. Don't fool yourself. When it comes time where China has an issue with a country with nationalism, they will tell their people to buy Chinese and not buy foreigners. And it works. The Chinese, what difference between the Chinese people and the Chinese government? Not that much, not that much. But what if they did it to America? Two problems. One, I don't know what made in America is. What Apple iPhones? I did projects with Apple, Foxconn factories in Guangzhou. What's American? I don't know. It's an American company. Parts are from Bangladesh, assembled in China. This came from India. I don't know what American is anymore. Number one. Number two, fuck these corporations. There's no loyalty anymore to America, but I've seen it in China firsthand. The Chinese will. You insult the Chinese. We're not necessarily talking about the government. We're talking about the people too. You insult the Chinese people, the society, the country, even the government. They will boycott you. I've never seen something like that. It won't happen in America. First, like I said, I don't know really what is an American product. Made in America. Yeah, whatever. Parts are here. And then we got people made in America. It's like, hi, my name's Fu Wangying. I'm an American citizen, born and raised. Fu Wangying, 会说中文吗? I guess that's an American. Like, what is this stuff? I don't know what an American is anymore. So don't really have this patriotism. And to what the corporations in China, they'll do it. They'll do it. Why? Because in China, they brace unity. That's called fascism. In America, we brace diversity because you're communists.
Of this whole high-speed, high-mix, low-volume supply chain, even to traditional brands.
So, when President Trump announced tariffs on most of America's...
Yeah, you know what I think about the tariffs? A dollar late, a day late, dollar short. It's to protect American corporations. It's not going to protect the American people. It is what it is. You disagree with me, it's not going to work. Good luck. Keep going.
Trading partners last year, it dealt a significant blow to the free trade framework overseen by the WTO.
We have gone from very low trade barriers to one that is increasingly more protectionist, more mercantilist, led by the United States and their change of heart as far as global trade is concerned.
Suddenly, tariff in certain country becomes 100%, 120%. What does that mean? It means they want to delay their orders to later until they are clearer in what the consumers want.
Leverstal is looking to diversify its partner factories to hedge against tariffs and expand into new markets.
For example, Turkey to supply into Europe. We're thinking of Portugal to supply more high-end, more luxury, sort of low luxury product to Europe and America. You're thinking of North Africa.
China, we're doing, besides obviously the non-Western countries, the countries that would be the Western that they're really pushing is Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe for two reasons. One, it's cheaper there. So if they would move a factory, and also politically, it's more politically aligned. So we're talking Eastern Europe, obviously Russia, but still other countries, even Turkey, what he mentioned, a lot of stuff going on in Turkey. But again, we're not counting South America and Africa. We're still looking at the West, Western Europe. Western Europe and China, Serbia and China, the relations are going through the roof.
To do lower cost product, and we even dare to start imagining having production base in South America that can serve North America effectively.
But Chinese investors have to also take the geopolitical shifts into account.
The rules-based order is important for China's overseas investment, because if the current order disappears, and then it will be the US, it will be Washington to decide, countries whether or not you should cooperate with China. So that will make the game very much different from what it has been in the last several years.
For China, the changing world order also has a security dimension.
And like I said, the problem is when the world order disintegrates and the rules-based order disintegrates, what are you left? It's the Wild West, man. You better be handy with the steel. So it's not going to surprise people. These countries are going to militarize at an accelerated pace because they know there's no such thing as a rules-based order to protect them. The only thing that's going to protect them is their military. And you're going to see more countries align. Besides the whole US dollar, the sanctions, the tariffs, Donald Trump, I like him. And I still say this. I still put him as the best president of my entire life. He's not going to solve it. And he's not the nationalist in a pure sense. He still has a lot of globalist tendencies that he's still working for the global, like this war in Iran. This is not going to help America, this war in Iran, people. If you're a dumb MAGA, I hope boots on the ground happen, and I hope the military draft happens, and then you can decide. It's not in line with nationalism, this war in Iran, at all.
The U.S. military actions in Venezuela and Iran have implications for Chinese investments in these regions. By some estimates, Iran and Venezuela together make up 17 to 18% of China's oil imports.
Don't exclude the possibility that if the United States really misbehaves and continues to bully other countries, then they may force China to send military convoys.
This is going to happen. I think anyone sees it. You're seeing we are on a trajectory that, hey, we already had two world wars. Already had to remember the World War I, the War of the End Wars, and then now we had World War II. You don't think a third world war is happening? It's about time. It's probably going to happen. It is what it is. It's part of history, human nature.
To Latin America to protect the legitimate business interests of China.
While the erosion of the global order brings risks for China, it also creates opportunity.
As the U.S. quits, other countries, the U.S. allies included, realize that they have to work with China in dealing with the common challenges. They have no choice.
This year, Beijing has already welcomed Canadian, British, and German leaders.
Carney's visit to Beijing is very important. First and foremost, it provides an opportunity to reset China-Canadian relations, and especially in the economic front, And the second reason is that also suggests that in the future, Canada will decide to pursue its relation with China based on its own national interests, not under the instruction from Washington.
I think that it's a stretch to think that countries actually trust China. Canada.
So here on that, I'm going to be on. I agree with what she's saying, but there's a caveat. Think about money. Would you feel more safe? We're going to assume you're the typical Westerner to put your money in a China bank or an American bank. I would say 90% plus people would say, I trust my money in an American bank. Now, there's different levels of trust, but let's face it, your money's a big deal. That's why Switzerland is such a world-renowned country, because it is known for illegal, tax havens, and to store, again, legal or illegal got goods, but people trust Switzerland. So if you're willing to put money in someone's country, that's a good sign of trust. That's why Switzerland's up there. But let's just compare America to China. I'm not going to argue with her. I'd say 90% of people, maybe even the Chinese, even though they might travel, would do it. But here's the problem. Trust in America is going down and trust in China is going up. Why? Because I'm going to use the same analogy with money. These would be global banks around the world. These would be the financial institutions. Guess what? In terms of reserve currencies, they're purposely doing this. This is not random. They're purposely. They're reducing their holdings of US dollars, and they're increasing their holdings of what's called the Chinese yuan or renminbi. And I know it's difficult for a regular American to be like, I'll never trust China. I get it. I'm the same way. I mean, I'm in Hong Kong for that. But trust in America is dropping. And trust in China, even it is increasing. Is it at parity? No, I still think it's the same thing. What would you rather have, US dollars or Chinese renminbi? You still want US dollars, but it's changing. US dollars is going down and renminbi is going up. Why? It is about trust. And what Donald Trump is doing on the world stage, a lot of people will say, but he's doing 4D chess, man. We'll see. He was already president once. We'll see. But I'm just saying what he's doing, especially with our NATO allies in Greenland, that's not a good way to build trust. And then you sanction the dollar and the weaponization of the dollar. But either way, you get my point. Trust in America is going down, and trust in China, believe it or not, it is going up. Countries are using, this is the whole deal with the petrodollar, where now is a push to get it on the yuan. And that is why America is scared. But more and more countries are willing to trade in US or in Chinese yuan as opposed to US dollars.
It would be another example where there has been re-engagement, particularly a desire to expand relations economically. But in the security sphere, I think that all U.S. allies continue to want to de-risk their supply chains that are connected to national security from China.
As multilateral institutions face growing strain, greater emphasis may fall on smaller groupings like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and BRICS. This could play to China's hand.
So just so everyone knows, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is their version of NATO. BRICS would be their version of the European Union. One is economic in nature, one is militarily in nature.
China, as a key member of such multilateral organizations, we will face great opportunities because China will play a more important role in agenda setting for these organizations, as it has been doing in the past.
People talk about how, as the US retreats, China is going to come in and fill the gap. That in many ways simplifies what are very complex historical processes. Do the Chinese...
Yeah, I said again, what's going to happen is America is going to retreat and multiple parties are going to fill the gap. China could be, you could say, one of the biggest ones, but other parties will fill the gap. I said before, it could be Japan, it could be Germany, obviously Russia, still in the Middle East. It'll be multipolar, but yeah, probably China will take the biggest chunk, we'll say.
Chinese want to do that? What gaps do they want to fill? Do they have any idea how they're going to fill it? They have studied world history very carefully. They know about the burdens of great powerdom, so to speak. The Chinese, for example, have been very clear in their public diplomacy that they are not interested in interventions.
And at the same time, China will also look to manage its own relations with the US. As the clock ticks on a one-year trade truce, Presidents Trump and Xi are set to meet in Beijing in April.
The current state of China-US relations can be featured with both stability and friendship.
Well, think about it. Why would Donald Trump want to even meet a leader, communist, fascist, stuff like that? Why? Because Donald Trump respects power. That's who we are. At the end of the day, we still respect power, and that's what China is.
Agility. For the US, my understanding is they want China to buy more US products. And for China, on the security front, the priority concern will be Taiwan issue.
When China weaponized its dominance in supply chains and tried to roll out this export licensing plan against the rest of the world, not just the United States, the lesson that the Trump administration drew was that they have to be careful to not trigger China to do that again. And let's remember that the trigger the first time was imposing tariffs that were over 145% on China.
As global power centers shift, where does that leave traditional American allies in Asia, Japan, and South Korea?
All right, 2-hour episode, longer than I thought. David Baumblatt from Terabint Leadership talking about the China political system. To put it bluntly, remember World War II? Remember the Adolf Hitler and the Nazis? Pretty much. Do you know about that system? What did I say? How much censored is Adolf Hitler, the Nazis, National Socialism in the West? Unbelievable. You probably have a better chance of pushing pedophilia than you can do a National Socialism. So what does that mean? Most people have no clue about it. Same thing with China. Most people don't have any clue about it. That system's rising. Our system in the West that was being governed by globalism. I say again, you cannot have a nation long-term if your competing ideology is globalism. This war, this ideological war, is not the left and the right. This is about globalism versus nationalism. Trump got elected, to include me, I liked him because he was a nationalist president. He's failing in many areas to that, but I guess he's still the best we got for nationalism. But this is the ideology where most people don't understand China, because you have to go back to World War II and you have to look at one of the most uncomfortable, censored topics that we have been indoctrinated in America to think is so evil that it's more evil than communism, right? Adolf Hitler versus Stalin, who's more evil? Adolf Hitler, based upon what we've learned. How the hell are you going to know what fascism is, let alone China? That's today's lesson, 2 hours. If you could support me, click like, send this abroad, or forward this to other people. Why is an American citizen, former FBI agent, on the FBI terrorist watch list? Why is the FBI like that shitbag Dan Bongino hiding, not communicating with me? Why are the politicians hiding? Let's get this story out. Let's have some fun. And why? Because let's get to the truth. This is about nationalism. You do not have an American military veteran not welcome back in the country. Why am I censored? If you could support a military veteran, that's your way to do it. Click like, send this forward. I appreciate your support. Until then, to the Patriots, lead to victory.